Hello everyone, I'm Sarah of Rich Textures Crochet and welcome. Today we're going to be learning how to crochet the Alpine Stitch. Now this is one of those favorite classical crochet stitch patterns. I did a tutorial on it a number of years ago. I wanted to do a refresher video as well, add it to my website. So a free written copy of the instructions for this tutorial today can be found on my website, averagetexturescrochet.com. This is the Alpine Stitch. It's a very popular stitch for a lot of reasons. It features this beautiful, beautiful texture that kind of looks like little trees. That's the way I had it described to me once. And the texture is all to one side. This is the back. It's a fairly smooth back. It's a popular stitch for blankets, hats, cardigans, washcloths, you name it. I have seen this Alpine Stitch. Today for the tutorial I'm going to be using a 5mm or an H8 crochet hook, as well as a worsted or medium weight yarn. This is the Basic Stitch yarn by Lion Brand. It's a 100% acrylic yarn. And then my crochet hook is a birchwood hook by Rowan. You can find links to these items in the description of this video. Again, you'll also find the direct link to the free written instructions on richtexturescrochet.com. So thank you so much for joining me. While you're here, I invite you to subscribe, take a look around. This channel is updated every single week with free crochet patterns and stitch tutorials. Now our stitch today is worked in rows. We're going to start by making a slip knot and then by working a foundation chain. Today for our foundation chain, I'm going to work an odd number of stitches. For this stitch, you really can use any multiple of stitches. I like to use the odd number because it makes the pattern kind of end up evenly on both sides. So I'm working with an odd number. I'm going to chain 25 stitches today. Once you have that odd number of chains worked, you're going to begin row 1 by working a double crochet into the 4th chain from your hook and then into each chain all the way across. Your chain 3 at the start of the row here and throughout will always count as a double crochet stitch. So double crochet into that 4th chain from your hook and then into each chain all the way across. At the end of row 1, you're going to chain 1 and turn your work. For row 2, we're going to single crochet into the first stitch. Your chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and then single crochet into each stitch all the way across. At the end of row 2, you're going to chain 3 and turn your work. Now for row 3, we're going to begin working some of that texture in the pattern. And the texture is created by working front post double crochet stitches, but always around the posts of the double crochet stitches 2 rows below. So we're working for this row 3 around the posts of the double crochet stitches in row 1. So we've worked our chain 3, which is going to count as a double crochet. We're going to work a front post double crochet around the post of the next double crochet stitch 2 rows below. So yarn over, bring your hook in front of your work and insert your hook around the post of the next double crochet stitch. So that's the second double crochet stitch of your row 1, from the front through to the back, out through the front again. Yarn over and drop a loop, and you'll want to draw up your loop to the height of the double crochet stitch up top. If you don't do this, you're going to end up with a little bit of curling, and I'll show you what I mean here in just a moment. So once you've yarned over, drawn up a loop, you're going to yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2 more loops. That's your front post double crochet. Now if you take a look at my original sample here, you will see some of that curling down here at the bottom, and that's 1, because all the texture is on the one side, and 2, because maybe I worked these stitches a little bit tighter than I should have. But making our stitches a little bit taller or working with a looser crochet hook will help get rid of that curling effect. So we've worked a front post double crochet. We're now going to double crochet into the next stitch of the previous row. We're going to skip the stitch in behind our front post stitch and just work a double crochet into the next stitch. We're now going to repeat that all the way across. Work a front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch, next double crochet stitch, 2 rows below. And you'll know which stitch this is because you're going to skip a double crochet in between each of your front post stitches. You're then going to double crochet into the next stitch. Work a front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch, 2 rows below, and double crochet into your next stitch all the way across until you come to the final stitch. In your final stitch, you're going to finish off with a double crochet stitch. At the end of row 3, when you come all the way across, you're going to finish off with a double crochet into your final stitch, chain 1, and turn your work. We are now going to work a return row once again of single crochet stitches. So single crochet into that first stitch, your chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and then single crochet into each stitch all the way across. When you come all the way across your row 4, you're working your final single crochet stitch into the top of that turning chain. You can then chain 3 and turn your work. We're going to work some more front post double crochet stitches. This time we want to stagger them a little bit. So for row 5, we're going to begin by working a double crochet into the next stitch. You're then going to work your front post double crochet around the post of the next double crochet 2 rows below. So now we are working our front post double crochet stitches in between the 2 front post stitches down below. So just bring our hook down, insert around the post, and work a double crochet stitch. Double crochet into your next stitch, and then front post double crochet around the post of the next double crochet 2 rows below. Repeat that all the way across. Front post double crochet followed by a double crochet stitch all the way across until you have 1 stitch remaining. When you come all the way across and you have one stitch remaining, you're simply going to double crochet into that final stitch. So including that starting chain 3, you began with 2 double crochets, and for this row 5 you're going to end with 2 double crochet stitches. At the end of row 5, chain 1, turn your work, and that's all there is for the repeat in this pattern. For the rest of the pattern, you're simply going to repeat your row 2, 3, 4, and 5 for as long as you would like, then fasten off, weave in your ends, and that is how you work this favorite Alpine stitch. So thank you so much for joining me. While you're here, once again, don't forget to subscribe. If you happen to make something with the Alpine stitch and you share it on social media, be sure to tag Rich Textures Crochet. I always love to come by and admire your work. So until next time, happy crocheting. Bye.